This is Mrs. Cribb. So we're going to be doing this dimensional analysis worksheet together, and sometimes we would have done this in class, and so this year we're going to just make sure we got our bases covered. So you need to have printed out this chapter 3A dimensional analysis or have gotten it from me in class. If you don't have it, go to the student Google Drive folder and print it out from there. All right, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you try the dimensional analysis, and then I will write out the key and talk to you about what we did. But in order to do that, I think I will start with one of the more complex ones. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do number 6. Well, number 6 is not that hard because I gave you right here, I gave you the conversion factor that you're going to need for number 6. So it's really not that hard, but I will go ahead and do number 6, and then we'll do one that has a multi-step. So dimensional analysis, before we get started, you should remember the mnemonic device that I've given you for the metric to metric conversions, and it's so it's giga space space, mega space space, king, Henry, drank, ucky, dark, chocolate, milk, and then space, space, micro, space, space, nano. So this is only for Greek prefixes, okay? You can't use this from an English to metric or from metric to English, but you can use it for metric conversions. So this U right here is for the basic unit, and that basic unit would be grams or liters or anything that is just the basic unit that we're using. Grams, liters, meters, it could be meters, all metric units, basic units with no prefix in front of them. And then you would have the giga and the mega and the micro and the micro over here and the milli, and so this is milli, and the centi, and this is deci. And so we have talked about these, what these mean, and we just use this for a check. We don't really use this to do the work, but to check our work, because at least for when we're converting between English and metric or English to English. But we're going to do a lot of metric to metric, so you can use this as a check, but you have to know how to do the bridge notation. And bridge notation is what's required. Solve using bridge notation and dimensional analysis. That means you can't just move your decimal back and forth and call that work. Okay, you have to go through the process. So I'm going to do number 6, and the reason I'm doing number 6 is because it doesn't look like there's a conversion factor here, but it's liters to moles. We're going to learn what moles are in chapter 9, but I gave you the conversion right here. Really, that's called a relationship, and that relationship can give you 2 conversion factors. So what are the 2 conversion factors for this relationship? Well, 1 mole is the same thing as 22.4 liters. So that's one conversion factor. The other possible conversion factor would be 22.4 liters over 1 mole. So out of this relationship, you get 2 possible conversion factors. So now we're going to start with the problem. When you do a problem, you always start with the number you're given. You never ever start with conversion factor. You start with the number given. So 100.2 liters. That's what I start with. Bridge notation requires you kind of make a bridge. And now this next part is where I need a conversion factor. One of these conversion factors. This is a conversion factor and this is a conversion factor. Well, I determine the one I need based on what I want to eliminate and what I want to get. So I have liters right here on top. So my conversion factor needs to have liters on the bottom so it will cancel out. Also, I want moles. That needs to be on the top. Okay, so I go over here and look, and this first conversion factor has 1 mole on top and 22.4 liters on the bottom. That's the correct conversion factor. And now I cancel out numerator, denominator, and if I do the math, I just divide 100.2 by 22.4. This is a division. On the top and the bottom, you divide. If it's side by side, you multiply. Okay? But top and bottom, you divide. So when I divide 100.2 by 22.4, I get 4.473 liters. Now, let me check and see if that is what I call a raw number. At this point, you don't have to do significant figures. You will later on in this chapter, but for this worksheet, you don't have to do it. So let's just do this correctly. Let's do this on here so we can check the raw number. 100. I got to turn it on. It's on. It's on numlock. 100. There we go. 0.2. And I'm going to divide by 22.4. And okay, so I do have more numbers in my raw number. 4.7321426. For 4.73214. That's at least enough. All right, for this particular case, because we don't know significant figures yet, I would take this as a final answer. You could put here 4.473216 moles, and I would be okay with that. The correct number of significant figures, though, is always based on the first number, and there's only 4 numbers here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the completely correct number is 4.473 moles, and it has to have your unit. But I already wrote it down there for you. So look at that. I wrote liters right there, and it should have been moles. How do I know? I canceled the liters out, and the thing that was not canceled out was moles. So make sure you double check that so you don't make that mistake I just made right there. So that's the simple one-step conversion. Now we're going to go ahead and do a multi-step conversion. Let me do one of the more difficult ones. Number 10, I'm not going to do number 10 because I gave you the clues right here. You're going to turn moles into liters and then liters into kiloliters. So let's not do that one. Let's go ahead and do number 9 together. All right, so we have millimeters and kilometers. And so if I do, what is the relationship? Well, I'm going to do the gigaspace space thing one more time. Gigaspace space, megaspace space. King Henry drank a key, dark chocolate milk, space, space, micro, space, space, nano. Ucky is the base unit, and what's my base unit here? This is millimeters, so my base unit here is a meter. And I'm going from millimeters, which is this spot, and I'm going to go to kilometers. So millimeters has to go through the base unit and then to kilometers. So that means it's at least a 2-step process. This is the milli, M-I-L-L-I, the milli, and this is the kilo, K-I-L-O. That's what that K is for. So milli to the base unit, and from the base unit to kilo. So this is a 2-step process. So I'm going to have to know the relationship between millimeters and the unit. So how many millimeters is equal to 1 meter? Well, 1,000. 1,000 millimeters is 1 meter. You need to know that relationship. This is a meter stick and the tiny little pieces, and hopefully we've looked at these in class. And then what's the relationship between a meter and a kilometer? 1 kilometer. Well, there are 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer. So that's the 2 relationships. The first one is 1,000 millimeters in a meter and 1,000 meters in a kilometer. Okay, so like I said, you always start with what you know, what you're given. That's the very first thing you write down. 0.098 millimeters. Bridge notation. So this was the first bridge. Okay, I want to get rid of millimeters, and so I showed you here. We start with millimeters and we go to the base unit. We have to use this relationship. There are 1,000 millimeters in a meter. What goes on top? What I want. What goes on bottom? What I got to cancel. So 1 meter, and there are 1,000 millimeters. The 1,000 millimeters goes on the bottom so that the millimeters will cancel. So that's the first part of this bridge. And then we're not going to do the math yet. Now we're going to get the second part of the bridge. I could go ahead and at least cancel this unit, millimeters and millimeters canceling. Okay. Now the second part of the bridge, I'm going to go from the base unit where I am at meters, and I'm going to go to kilometers right over here. So I have to use this relationship that I'm circling. 1,000 meters is 1 kilometer. A kilo actually means 1,000. So I have meters on the top, so I need 1,000 meters on the bottom and 1 kilometer on the top. That way the meter will now cancel. I can go ahead and cancel that out. Meters and meters. And then I can do the math. And this is bridge notation. We're going to have other times when we do multiple steps in bridge notation, but this is a 2-step process. So now we're going to just take 0.098, divide by, because it's on the bottom, we divide by it, divide by 1,000, and then I'm going to hit divide again by 1,000. So I'm going to show you on my calculator how I do this. Please follow my example so you can make sure you keep your order of operations correct. So 0.098 divided by 1,000, and then I have to divide by the second one. Divide by 1,000 again. And what do I get? 9.8 E, I'm going to write it just like it says. 9.8 E negative 8. Okay. This is how your calculator says the answer is, but that E stands for the exponent, and it's 10 to that negative 8 value. So this is really 9.8 times 10 to the negative 8. This E means the exponent is this, tells you what the exponent is. It's a negative 8. This is the correct convention. This is not. If you write it like this, you're going to lose 1/4 of a point for not putting it in the standard notation. This is the correct notation. And then what is my unit? The only unit that I didn't cancel, kilometers. And so 9.8 times 10 to the minus 8 kilometers is the correct answer. All right, I hope you followed me on those two. Now what I'd like you to do is go back to the top, and you're going to convert hours to seconds. And this is a multiple step process as well. So I'm going to give you a second to do it, and then I will put up the answer for you. Okay, I'm assuming it's done. So let's do this. Well, if you know how many seconds are in 1 hour, you could do this as a 1-step process. You could say 3 hours, because you always start with the number you have. And there are 3,600 seconds in every 1 hour. And you could cancel hours out in the numerator and denominator and multiply it, and you get 10,800 seconds. And that would be a fine answer. The other way to do this is to start with 3 hours and know that there are 60 minutes in an hour. And then know that so then you get rid of your hours, numerator, denominator, and now we have minutes. And know there are 60 seconds in 1 minute, and numerator minute, denominator minute. And then this time they're on the top, so you multiply it through, straight across, same thing over here, and get the answer. I'm going to pull up the calculator again, and let's just do it. We have 3 times 60 times 60, whoops, not 66, 60, 1,000, 10,800. All right, what about the other way? 3 times 3,600, 10,800. Both of them gave you the same answer, 10,800. And what's the unit? The unit is always what you did not cancel out, seconds. So my answer over here was 10,800 seconds. Hope you got that one. Let's go on to number 2. I'm going to give you a second to complete number 2. Okay, I'm assuming you've completed number 2. So now we're going to turn milligrams to centigrams. Now, centigrams, centi means 100. Centi means 1/100th, actually. Think about a penny. A penny is a cent, and it takes 100 cents for a dollar. So centi is 1/100th of something. So it takes 100 centimeters to equal 1 meter. Okay? So there's multiple ways to do this particular problem. I'm going to go ahead and write my gigaspace thing again. I'll do it up here. Gigaspace space, megaspace space, King Henry drank Ucky dark chocolate milk, space micro, space nano. All right, U stands for the base unit. In this case, the base unit is a gram. Okay, where are we going from? We're going from milli, which is right here, to centi, which is right here. It's a 1-step spot. So I really don't have to go through the base unit. I could if I wanted to though, and a lot of times people do. You could convert milli into the base unit and then the base unit into centi. So there's two ways to do this. So I'm going to show you both ways. What is the relationship between milli and centi? Well, it's just a factor of 10 between these. 10 milligrams is 1 centigram. Okay, so 10 of these is one of those. 10 centigrams is 1 decigram. 10 decigrams is 1 unit. So it's times 10 is each spot over. So you could use this relationship, and that's the easiest one to do. But this is one that people don't always remember. The other thing is you could use, what about milligrams and grams? Well, there are 1,000 milligrams is 1 gram. That's this big right here. That space, 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram. And then I could go from grams back to centigrams because a centi is 100th, so it takes 100 cents, 100 centigrams to equal 1 gram. So that's another relationship I could use. So I could use these two together or this one. I'm going to do it both ways. All right, start off with what you know, milligrams. 0.035 milligrams. First, I'm going to use the top. I'm going to use this one here. All right, I want milligrams to go away, so it has to be on the bottom and centigrams on the top. Now we're going to cancel. Numerator, milligram, denominator, milligram. So basically, I'm just dividing by 10. And so when I divide by 10, I get 0.0035, and the centigram did not cancel, and that's my answer. That's the one-step process. Well, what about the multiple-step process? Okay, I start again with what I know. And if I get confused about milligrams and centigrams, I could just turn milligrams into grams. So now I'm going to use these two relationships. I'm going to start with this one first. And I want to get rid of milligrams, so 1,000 milligrams would go on the bottom and 1 gram would go on the top. And then I would use this one second, this right here, and on the second part of my bridge. So first is cancel out, milligrams cancel with milligrams. Now I have grams at the top, I need to have grams at the bottom, so 1 gram goes at the bottom and 100 centigrams goes at the top, and I can cancel numerator grams, denominator grams. Now, how do I do this in my calculator? With it's 0.035 divided by 1,000, but since it's on the top, multiplied by 100. So I'm going to show you on my calculator. All right, 0.035. I'm going to divide by 1,000. I can hit enter, and then I'm going to multiply by 100, and I get 0.0035. Same answer. I just went through a slightly longer process to get it. Either one of those will work. But I will say, if you could make yourself memorize this relationship, 10 milligrams in a centigram, 10 millimeters is 1 centimeter. That one's easy. A centimeter is about this big, and all those little teeny marks in the middle are millimeters. 10 millis in 1 centi. That will be the easiest way to go from one step to the other. Okay, now let's go on to number 3. Give you a second. Okay, I'm assuming you've got it done. So I gave you the conversion or the relationship right here. There are 2 possible conversion factors, 1 kilogram over 2.205 pounds, or 2.205 pounds over 1 kilogram. That's this relationship creates these 2 conversion factors. Like I said, you always start with the number you're given. You never, ever, ever start with a conversion factor. So start with 5.5 kilograms. I need kilograms. If it's on the top, it needs to be on the bottom. The conversion factor needs to have kilograms on the bottom. So I need to use this one. 2.205 pounds over 1 kilogram. So it's on the top, it's a multiplication problem. So when you multiply those 2 together, you get 12.1275. That's what I call a raw number. It's not significant figures. That's fine for today. But in significant figures, this number needs to only have 2 sig figs, so it'd be 12 pounds. That's the answer, 12 pounds. All right, let's do number 4. I'm going to give you a second to do it. Okay, I'm assuming it's done. Now we need to do this conversion. We're going to convert yards into inches. I did not give you the fact that there are 3 feet in a yard. 3 feet is 1 yard because I expect you to know that at this point. So we start with what we know. Always the number they're giving you. You always start with what's given. Then you use the conversion factors. Otherwise, you're going to end up multiplying and dividing in the wrong way. I need to convert yards into feet and feet into inches. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn yards into feet. Okay? Yards on the top, so I need yards on the bottom. 1 yard and 3 feet on the top. And then I can cancel out yards. And if I stop my math, I would have feet. But I want to turn it into inches. So how many inches are in a foot? 12 inches is 1 foot. You should know that one as well. So I've got feet on the top, so feet needs to be on the bottom. So 1 foot is 12 inches. And I should be able to cancel out numerator feet, denominator feet. This time everything is just multiplied. So let's pull it up on the calculator. 2.5 times 3 times 12. I get 90 inches. And this is the raw number. It's not the right significant figure number, so I'm going to put a decimal there. The right sig fig number has a decimal, but we will learn about that in the next part of the chapter. So 90 inches. Okay, 5 moles. We've already worked with the liters before, so I'm going to let you do this one. Okay, you should be done. So now we're going to start with what we know. Always start with what's given. 5 moles. What's my conversion factor? Well, here's the 2 possibilities. This time moles needs to be on the bottom, so we're using this one. So 22.4 liters is 1 mole. Moles and moles cancel. Numerator, denominator. Just multiply 5 times 22.4 and I get 112 liters. And that's the raw number. This only has 1 significant figure, so this would round to 100 liters, and that would be the final answer. It's okay if your sig figs are not correct for this particular exercise. All right, we've done number 6. Number 7. Number 7 is a little more difficult because you have scientific notation, but I did give you this conversion factor or relationship that turns into conversion factor. So you give it a try. Okay, I'm assuming you've done it. Start with what you know. Always never start with the conversion factor. 5.0 times 10 to the 24th miles. Now, I'm going to reiterate, you need to write the unit in this because your units have to cancel. You have to show me they're canceling. You have to be able to believe that they canceled. All right, now what do I do? What conversion factor do I use? Here's the relationship. The 2 possible factors is 1 kilometer over 0.6214 miles or 0.6214 miles over 1 kilometer. Well, I need the kilometers. No, I need the miles to cancel. So that means I got to use this one. So 1 kilometer, and that's good because kilometers is what it wants, over 0.6214 miles. Units will cancel, miles and miles cancel. So we're going to be dividing by 0.6214. Now let's talk about this. I'm going to show you in my calculator how to put it in. I will tell you too that if you follow my example on this, you will make fewer processing errors or order of operation errors. So 5.0, that's easy. Now for the times, you're going to hit second function. See that double E right there? And you hit that. So second function double E, that means what is the exponent? The exponent is 24. You don't have to put 10 to the 24th. See, this E means times 10 to what power? And 24 tells me the power. You don't have to put the 10 there. It is already in there. The calculator does it automatically. So that's the number, 5 times 10 to the 24th, and now we're going to divide it by 0.6214, and we get this answer, 8.046346 times 10 to the 24. So I'm going to put that 8.046 times 10 to the 24. I always put more significant figures than I need. You don't know sig figs yet, but in this case we only need 2 of them. So I'm rounding it to 8.0 times 10 to the 24th. Kilometers is my unit. So that's what would go here, 8.0 times 10 to the 24th. All right, number 8. Same relationship is used for number 8. I'm going to give you a chance to do it. Okay? So you always start with the number that you're given. You never start with the conversion factor. 780.08 kilometers. What is the step I need to take? Well, I need the kilometers to cancel, so it needs to be on the bottom. So look at these two relationships. I'm going to use this one now. 1 kilometer on the bottom and 0.6214 miles on the top. Okay? Cancel numerator kilometers, denominator kilometers. Now we just multiply it because it's on the top. We get 484.7417. That's what I call my raw number before significant figures. This number has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sig figs. So I need 5 significant figures. So 484.74. And the unit is miles because I didn't cancel it out. So that was what goes here, 487.74. No, 484.74. Okay, number 10, last one. I gave you the hint. You're going to turn moles into liters and then liters into kiloliters. So what was the relationship for moles and liters? That's up here at the top. Up here. I've already given you the moles and liters relationship. So I want you to use that and liters to kiloliters to try to do this one. I'm going to give you a second. Okay, I'm assuming you've done it. Again, start with what you know, what you're given rather. Never start with the conversion factor. So this many moles. First thing I'm going to do is turn moles into liters. And so what was the relationship? 22.4 liters in 1 mole. All right, so 22.4 liters in 1 mole. That way the moles will cancel out. And now I have liters, so that's the first step. The second step, I'm going to turn liters to kiloliters. How many liters are in a kiloliter? Or how many kiloliters are in a liter? I like to use whole numbers. So there are 1,000 liters is 1 kiloliter. You must remember this. This looks like a 6, but it's a 0. 1,000 liters is 1 kiloliter. Okay? And then I'll use the check for this one. Gigaspace, space, megaspace, space, king, Henry, drink, ucky, dark chocolate milk, space, space, micro, space, space, nano. All right, in this case, the unit is a liter. And we're going from a liter to a kiloliter. And so that means 10, 100, 1,000. 1,000, or 4 places to the left. To the left. So it's 1,000 liters in 1 kiloliter. So I want to put 1,000. Nope, that's not going to be right. I have to put 1,000 liters on the bottom and 1 kiloliter on top so that the liters will cancel. And this is the whole reason you need to have your units, so you can check that. Units, cancel. Liters numerator, liters denominator. Now we're going to put it in our calculator, and when we do, we get 0.1747648. Way too many significant figures. I need 4 significant figures. So 0.1748, because I'm going to round, and that's kiloliters is the answer. 0.1748 kiloliters. So that's the end of that. Now before we wrap this up, I want to go back up to anything that's just purely metric. Liters and moles, nah, yards. I have this one. I've already covered number 2 more than once. Okay, we're not going to do any more with the purely metric stuff. We'll wait until I have some more like that. So hopefully this helps you. You've got it. And if you made mistakes, correct your errors. Do not erase your original answers. And then turn this in. Make sure your parents sign it with a full signature. And that's all.